All right, hey everyone. Welcome to our second monthly mental performance video of the year. For the month of February, our focus is going to be letting go of mistakes. So quick little recap on what we talked about in January. January's video was about instructional communication. So I went over talking about how communication is really a vital volleyball skill. Can't do much without it on the court. Other physical skills don't really matter as much if we're not communicating. We want our communication to be instructional. So telling ourselves, telling our teammates, our coaches tell us specific things to do on the court. And then I kind of phrase it as put your thoughts on the table. So anything you're thinking of, things you're seeing on the court, the way you're talking to teammates in your head or the way you're talking to yourself, instructional positive things, put your thoughts on the table, help your team that way. For the month of February, we're going to be talking about letting go of mistakes. Let's talk about mistakes. We love them. Mistakes are kind of the worst sometimes, but they really are important because they happen. So let's talk about mistakes. I want to break this down really simply. Some volleyball facts. As you guys all know in club, we play best of three. It's a unique sport, volleyball. You got to get to a certain score in order to win. You're not playing for time. I played a basketball game once. We won 8-2. And it was a full game in 6th grade. It was 8-2. Volleyball is not really like that. You got to get to a certain amount of points. You guys are like, yes, we know this. But I think it's an important point to reiterate in that we must produce to win, or the other team has to make mistakes or errors in order for us to win. So errors happen in volleyball. Mistakes happen. They have to. The phrase "it's a game of mistakes" kind of just plays in my head a ton, but it's important to reiterate. The game is never going to be played perfectly, or else the ball would be in the air constantly, and that would be exhausting. We got to produce in order to win. Think about that. Let's think back to last weekend. I would guess most of the teams competed last weekend. Think back to your performance last weekend and all of your matches. I know our team played in 8 matches, which is a lot. If you're a player watching us, think, did you make any mistakes last weekend? If you say no, why don't you come talk to me? And I would love to know your secret. If you said yes, thank you. It's bound to happen. Another important question, did your successes outweigh the mistakes? I think this is an important question to ask because I think when mistakes happen, they kind of cloud our memory way more than our successes. So if you miss like 2 serves in a set, but then you do everything else well, you're probably going to walk off that set thinking like, I can't believe I missed my 2 serves in the net, even though you made, 5 really good passes and got 3 kills or whatever else. Our successes outweigh the mistakes way, way, way more often than not. Let's put some thought into that. Let's put some weight onto that as well, for lack of a better word. I think that's something we need to keep in mind as players, is that we got to track our successes too. And not just put so much weight onto our mistakes. Because, big point in this video, our teams cannot win if we hold on to our mistakes. If we're replaying them, if we're stuck on them, between sets, between matches, between points, we are holding ourselves back, which means that we're holding our team back. So what does holding on to mistakes mean? I'm going to have you guys do an activity. Once it pops up on the screen, I want you to get a timer ready on your phone. Set a timer to see how long this takes you. And once it pops up, I'll explain it a little bit more. So you're going to read through this box, and essentially you will be saying the color of each word you see and not the actual word. It's pretty tricky. So the first one, you would not say black, you would actually say red. For the second one, you would not say white, you would actually say black. So go set a timer, see how long it takes you. Before you start though, if you make a mistake, you must add 5 seconds on your time for each mistake. So if you, for the first one, say black instead of red, note that you did that, and then add 5 seconds on your time, and keep track of this. Compare with teammates. This is nothing to do with volleyball, but take some time and do this and I'll explain it after. And pause the video to do this. I'm moving on to the next slide. So that was fun, I hope, for you guys. It's a fun game. It's kind of tough though. It's one of those brain teasers. But why did I make you guys add 5 seconds on your time for each mistake? I think that really represents the feeling of holding on to mistakes. What does that mean for us? I want you to imagine that each time you erred in a volleyball match or a set, you had to physically hold on to the volleyball, you made a mistake. Let's say we have an infinite amount of volleyballs. You pop a serve into the net, your teammate hands the ball back to you the rest of the match, you have to hold on to it and play, which is really hard to do because we do a lot of stuff with our arms in volleyball. So figure out some way to do that. Put it on your shirt. All right, that's not that bad. Next ball, you shank your serve receive pass. Get that ball back. You have to hold on to that one. A couple of points later, you miss your hit into the net. You're holding on to that one. Why am I using this example? I think thinking about if we had to physically hold on to our mistakes, we would realize that we really limit ourselves if we're replaying our mistakes over and over again, if we're not letting go of our mistakes. In that, if we mentally also hold on to our mistakes, it forces us to limit our future success. There's really no way for me to move on and continue to play and be a good teammate and be a really good volleyball player if I'm so stuck on all the mistakes I've made leading into the rest of the match. It's really hard. It's like trying to merge 1,000 lanes of traffic into one, mindset in your head. You got to focus on what you're doing next. And you got to focus on the next ball. Holding on mistakes really limits it. Making mistakes also, I want to make this point, it doesn't mean we can't be successful because you can learn from mistakes. And like I said in the beginning, mistakes happen in volleyball. But our response to making mistakes does mean that sometimes we can't be successful if our response is to hold on to them. So we were watching this thinking like, how do I know if I'm the type of player that holds on to mistakes? How do I know if that's something I'm doing? Because I want to fix it. Ask yourself these questions. First, are you hard on yourself after you make an error in a game? Are you saying things like, come on, do better than that? I was so bad. Are you hard on yourself? Do you get anxious that you will make another mistake? Are you saying things like, please don't serve it to me again, or I don't want the ball back, or don't set it to me? It's kind of anxious language when you're avoiding things. So do you get anxious? Last, are you focused on the next play or the last play? So if you're replaying in your head, like, I can't believe I did that while your opponent is serving another ball at you, that means you're not focused on the next play, you're focused on the previous play. If you answered yes to any of these questions, which I'm assuming most of you at least said yes to one of them, which is normal, let's talk about how to fix it. I like to break this down into a 3 sort of step process to letting go of mistakes. Number 1, recognize what you did wrong. I don't want you to sit and replay your mistakes in your head because it's not going to help you, because then your mindset is just going to be you watching yourself mess up. Think about what you did wrong. If your hit goes into the net, did you drop your elbow? If you shanked the ball this way, were you swinging your platform? Were you finishing behind you and not at the net or to your target? Just really simple feedback. Recognize what you did wrong. Number 2, give yourself encouragement or listen for it from others, from your coaches or teammates. Tell yourself, I got the next ball, or really reality-based thinking. I know I'm a good passer, serve me again. Give yourself some really good encouragement. And number 3, which I think is kind of one that we don't do very often, but I think is important, is pair it with an action. Clap your hands to show that you're moving on. Fix your headband, wipe your shoes. I used to do that all the time as a player. If I made a mistake, I would wipe my hands on my shoes. And that was my way of saying, like, I'm done with this. I'm on to the next play. I'm wiping it away. Sounds a little bit silly because it's a different thing than maybe you've heard about or talked about before. But I think number 3 is really important. It's showing like, I'm done with this. I'm moving on. I'm on to the next play. You could do 1 or these or 2 or all 3. I want you guys to at least think in the next couple practices about maybe trying one of these. or trying all of them one each practice and seeing which one kind of helps you the best. You can pick and choose. I think it's important to figure out what's best for you. For some people, it's the encouragement from others. For some people, it's just really simple feedback to themselves that kind of restamps. Note all these and maybe try one in your next practice and try another one next week and see if you can build on them and see which one works best for you. All right, my last slide. How do we do this as a team? How can we help each other let go of mistakes? Number one, let's pick up our teammates after they make mistakes. Sometimes mistakes can be so like in a really big moment in a game and you're the teammate that serves the ball into the net and you lose, or the other team goes up, 25-24 or something. That feels not great. So let's turn our teammates and pick them up and say, you got the next ball, or you got this, or you're going to make your next serve, or you got the next pass. Any sort of encouragement, I think anyone would benefit from it. I think we forget sometimes because we get anxious that our team's going to lose and we get worried. Think about how your teammate feels that after making that mistake. Give them really good encouragement. And don't just say, come on, because I don't think that's very helpful, but just really good positive encouragement. And I think for coaches, I think making sure after mistakes, we give feedback and just general instruction on what to do different next time and make it positive language, like I talked about before. Avoid like, don't drop your elbow, and think of things like keep your arm high, give our players something to achieve, give them feedback after mistakes so they know they can correct it. I also like drills in practice that allow players to fix mistakes. So if they miss a hit, you give them the next ball, they have a chance to correct it so they can see that the mistake isn't what shapes them as a player. It's actually their ability to come back from it. And they know they're more skilled than their mistake is making them feel. So big things about letting go of mistakes. I hope you guys took something from this video, take a lot of notes from it and maybe try some of these things. There's a couple big tournaments coming up. President's Day is a big weekend on the club. A lot of teams going to St. Louis, a lot of teams going to Kansas City. And it's vital that we give ourselves the best chance to succeed. And that doesn't just mean with our physical training in the gym, but with our ability to move on and keep pushing past these mistakes and places that might bring us down instead. So take some notes from this, try these things in the next couple of weeks before practice. Stop by and ask me questions anytime in the gym if you want, or send me an email. And as always, go Sting.